The American Economic Cheat Code explained. It's rigged. Imagine a game of poker. You're sitting at the table, sweating. You've studied the rules. You've calculated the odds. You're playing honestly, betting your hard-earned chips, trying to build a future. But across from you sits a player who doesn't seem worried at all. He plays recklessly. He makes bad bets. He loses hand after hand. But his stack of chips never goes down. In fact, every time he loses, the dealer just slides him more chips from under the table. And here's the kicker, you're paying for those chips. Every time the dealer hands him a fresh stack, the value of the chips in your hand goes down. You are playing a game where the mathematics guarantee your failure and his success. This isn't a casino in Vegas. This is the American economy. And you are the sucker at the table. We are taught from grade school that the economy is a fair marketplace. Supply and demand. Hard work leads to success. Innovation is rewarded. We are told that if you grind, if you save, if you follow the rules, you will get your piece of the American dream. But look around you. Does it feel like that's happening? Prices are skyrocketing. Housing is unaffordable. The middle class is evaporating into thin air, while a tiny fraction of the population accumulates wealth at a speed that defies the laws of physics. This isn't an accident. It's not bad luck. And it's certainly not the invisible hand of the free market. It is a carefully engineered system, a cheat code, designed to extract wealth from the many and funnel it to the few. We are going to dismantle this machine. We are going to rip open the hood of the global financial system and show you the engine of theft that has been running for over 50 years. This is the story of how the game was rigged. But before we expose the mechanics of this deception, I need you to make a choice. The information in this video is going to change how you see money, politics, and your own job forever. If you want to stay ahead of the collapse that is coming, you need to be part of this community. Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications. Like this video to force the algorithm to show this truth to more people. Leave a comment below telling me, do you think the system is broken, or is it working exactly as intended? Let's get into it. To understand the cheat code, we have to go back in time. We have to go back to a moment when the world changed, and almost nobody noticed. August 15th, 1971. A Sunday evening. President Richard Nixon interrupts television broadcasts to announce that the United States is temporarily suspending the convertibility of the dollar into gold. He called it temporary. It was the greatest lie ever told in economic history. Before this moment, money was a certificate of claim on a physical asset. If you had a $20 bill, it represented a specific amount of gold sitting in a vault. The government couldn't just print more money because they couldn't just print more gold. Nature limited their power. But on that Sunday in 1971, the tether was cut. The dollar became fiat. That's a Latin word that means, let it be done. It means the money has value only because the government says it does, and because they have men with guns to enforce it. This was the moment the cheat code was activated. This was the moment the United States gave itself the power of God mode. Infinite ammo, infinite health, infinite money. Why does this matter to you in 2024? Because the moment money became detached from reality, the government and the central banks gained the ability to distort time and value. Think about it. When you go to work, you are trading your time, your life energy, for money. You work 8 hours, you get paid a certain amount. That money is a battery. It stores your labor so you can use it later. But what happens if someone can print that same money without working? What happens if they can press a button and create $1 trillion out of thin air? They are diluting your life. Every dollar they print steals a fraction of the value from the dollars in your pocket. It's not just inflation, it is theft. It is a hidden tax that nobody voted for. When you see the price of eggs double or gas prices shoot up, don't blame the grocery store. Don't blame the supply chain. Those are symptoms. The disease is the money printer. The disease is a system that allows a small group of unelected bankers at the Federal Reserve to decide what your labor is worth. And this brings us to the first major gear in the machine, the Cantillon effect. This is a concept from the 18th century, but it explains your life today perfectly. Richard Cantillon was an economist who realized something profound. When new money is created, it doesn't spread through the economy evenly like water. It flows like honey. It's thick. It sticks. Here is how it works. The Federal Reserve prints a few $billion. Do they mail a check to you? No. Do they send it to the small business owner in Ohio? No. They give it to the biggest banks and financial institutions on Wall Street. These elites get the money first. They get it at near zero interest rates. And because they have the money first, they get to spend it before prices go up. They use this free cash to buy up stocks, to buy up real estate, to buy up companies. They are buying assets at yesterday's prices with today's printed money. By the time that money trickles down to you, through wages or loans, the damage is already done. The fresh money has circulated, bidding up the price of everything. So when you finally get your hands on those dollars, everything is more expensive. The house you wanted to buy. A hedge fund bought it last month with the free money. The stocks you wanted to invest in? They are already at all-time highs because the banks pump them up. The elites steal the purchasing power, and you are left holding the bag of inflation. You are running on a treadmill that is speeding up, while they are taking the elevator to the penthouse. This is why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. It's not because the rich are working 10,000 times harder than you. It's because they are standing next to the money spigot, drinking from the fire hose, while you are fighting for the drops that splash on the pavement. This is the first layer of the cheat code. The proximity to the printer determines your destiny. But it gets darker. The system isn't just designed to dilute your savings. It's designed to enslave you. And the chain they use is debt. In a healthy economy, debt is a tool. In the American cheat code economy, debt is a weapon. Let's look at the modern American life cycle. It is a conveyor belt of debt. You turn 18, and you are told that to succeed, you need a degree. So, the government guarantees massive loans. Because the loans are guaranteed, colleges realize they can charge whatever they want. Tuition skyrockets by 200%, 300%, 400%. You graduate with a piece of paper and $50,000 or $100,000 in debt. You start your adult life in a hole. You are an indentured servant before you have earned your first paycheck. Then you need a car to get to work. Auto loans. Then you want a house. Mortgage. Then you have an emergency. Credit cards. The entire system is structured to keep you making monthly payments until the day you die. Why? Because debt is how money is created in this rigged system. When you take out a loan, the bank doesn't lend you money from its vault. It types numbers into a computer and creates that money out of nothing. You create the money by signing your name. Your promise to pay is the asset. You are the battery powering the matrix. But here is the twist. While you are drowning in debt, struggling to pay 7% or 20% interest, the biggest corporations in the world, the ones with the cheat code, are playing by different rules. This brings us to the concept of socialism for the rich, capitalism for the poor. Remember 2008? The banks gambled with the global economy. They made reckless bets on subprime mortgages. They leveraged themselves to the moon, drunk on greed. And when it all crashed, when the house of cards fell, what happened? Did they go bust? Did the free market punish their stupidity? No. The government stepped in. They took trillions of dollars of taxpayer money, your future tax money, and bailed them out. They said, "You are too big to fail." Think about that phrase. Too big to fail. It is an admission that the free market is dead. If you start a coffee shop and you make bad decisions, you go out of business. You lose everything. That is capitalism. But if you are a megabank or a massive corporation with the right political connections, you cannot lose. If you win, you keep the profits. If you lose, the taxpayer covers the losses. It is a privatized gain and a socialized loss. It is the ultimate cheat code. It removes the risk from gambling. Imagine going to a casino where the pit boss tells you, "Go ahead, bet it all on black. If you win, you keep the millions. If you lose, the guy waiting tables over there will pay for it." How would you bet? You would bet recklessly. You would take insane risks. This is exactly what Wall Street does every single day. They know that if they blow up the economy, the Federal Reserve will print enough money to make them whole again. This creates a moral hazard that is rotting the core of the American soul. It destroys the incentive to be responsible. It rewards psychopaths and punishes the prudent. And they don't just use this power for bailouts. They use it to cannibalize the economy. This brings us to the next mechanism of the cheat: stock buybacks. This is something that used to be illegal. It was considered market manipulation until the rules were conveniently changed in the early 1980s. Here is how it works. A company makes a profit. In a normal world, they would use that profit to innovate. They would build a new factory, research a new product, or, God forbid, give their workers a raise. But in the cheat code economy, innovation is hard. Innovation is risky. So instead, the CEO takes that profit and uses it to buy the company's own stock off the market. Why? Because when you reduce the number of shares available, the price of the remaining shares goes up. And how is the CEO paid? In stock options. By buying back their own stock, they are artificially inflating the share price to trigger their own bonuses. They are stripping the company of cash, leaving it weak and vulnerable, just to enrich the executives and the hedge funds. They are eating the seed corn. They are burning the furniture to heat the house. This is why your wages have been stagnant since the 1970s while the stock market has gone parabolic. The wealth created by productivity isn't going to the workers. It is being funneled into financial engineering. The stock market is no longer a reflection of the real economy. It is a video game score that is being hacked by the players with the controllers. You might be asking, why doesn't the government stop this? Why don't they pass laws to fix it? That is a cute question. It assumes the government works for you. It assumes that the referees on the field are neutral. But in this game, the referees are on the payroll of the winning team. This is the phenomenon of regulatory capture and the revolving door. Look at the resumes of the people running the Treasury Department or the SEC. Where did they work before? Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, BlackRock. And where do they go after they leave government? Back to Goldman Sachs. Back to JP Morgan. Back to BlackRock. They are not there to regulate the banks. They are there to protect them. They write the loopholes into the laws because they intend to use them. Lobbying is the return on investment that beats everything else. If a corporation spends $1 million on engineers, they might get a better product. Maybe. But if they spend $1 million on lobbyists, they can get a tax break worth $1 billion. They can get a regulation passed that destroys their smaller competitors. It is the most efficient use of capital in America. Buying a politician is cheaper than innovating. So you have a system where the money is fake, the debt is a trap, the risks are socialized, and the regulators are complicit. But to truly understand the scale of the American cheat code, we have to look outside the borders of the United States. We have to look at how America uses this system to dominate the entire planet. This is the story of the petrodollar and the export of inflation. After Nixon took the dollar off gold, the U.S. needed a new reason for the world to hold dollars. If the dollar is just paper, why would France or Japan or Saudi Arabia stockpile it? The Americans came up with a masterstroke. In the 1970s, they struck a deal with Saudi Arabia. The deal was simple. The U.S. would provide military protection and weapons to the House of Saud. In exchange, the Saudis would price all their oil sales exclusively in U.S. dollars. This changed everything. Since every country on Earth needs oil to survive, every country on Earth now needed U.S. dollars to buy that oil. If Italy wanted energy, they couldn't pay in lira. They had to buy dollars first. This created a permanent, artificial demand for the dollar. It forced the world to hoard American currency. This gave the United States a superpower that no other empire in history has ever possessed. The U.S. could print money to pay for its imports, and that money wouldn't cause hyperinflation at home because it would be absorbed by the global market. America exports its inflation. When the Fed prints $1 trillion, a huge chunk of it ends up in the central bank vaults of China, Japan, and Brazil. We get the TVs, the cars, and the cheap plastic goods. They get the green paper. It is the ultimate something-for-nothing trade. It allows the U.S. government to run massive deficits, to fund 800 military bases around the world, and to fight endless wars, all on the credit card of the rest of the world. It is a system of imperial tribute, disguised as global trade. But what happens if a country tries to opt out? What happens if a leader decides they don't want to sell their oil for dollars anymore? History gives us a bloody answer. Look at Iraq. Saddam Hussein decided to sell oil for euros. Shortly after, he was invaded. Look at Libya. Muammar Gaddafi planned to create a gold-backed African currency. He was overthrown and killed. The message was clear: use the cheat code or get deleted. However, every cheat code has a limit. Every glitch eventually gets patched. And right now, in 2024, the American economic cheat code is starting to fail. The world is waking up. The other players at the table are realizing the game is rigged, and they are starting to build their own casino. We are seeing the rise of the BRICS nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and their new members. For the first time, there is a serious, organized effort to bypass the dollar. They are trading in local currencies. They are buying gold at record rates. They are building alternative payment systems to replace SWIFT. The weaponization of the dollar was the turning point. When the US seized Russia's foreign reserves in 2022, it sent a shockwave through the global south. Every country paused and thought, if they can do that to a nuclear power like Russia, what can they do to us? Trust is the currency of the financial system, and the US burned that trust to the ground. Now, the dollars are coming home. As countries de-dollarize, those trillions of dollars that were soaking up inflation abroad will flow back into the domestic US economy. And when they do, the inflation we have seen in the last 3 years will look like a warm-up act. The dam is cracking. So, let's recap the structure of the cheat. Create fiat money out of thin air. Give it to the elites first, Cantillon effect. Trap the working class in debt. Bail out the corporations when they fail. Manipulate the stock market with buybacks. Buy the politicians to legalize the theft. Force the world to use the dollar or face military ruin. This structure has held for 50 years. It has created the greatest concentration of wealth in human history. It has built skyscrapers in New York and mansions in the Hamptons. But it has hollowed out the heart of the country. It has turned the American manufacturing base into a rust belt. It has turned a nation of owners into a nation of renters. It has turned citizens into consumers. Let's dig deeper into the financialization of everything. This is a fancy word for turning real things into gambling chips. Housing is the most painful example. A home used to be a place to live, to raise a family, to build community. Now, a home is an asset class. It is a line item on a BlackRock balance sheet. When the government prints money and interest rates are low, giant investment firms borrow billions almost for free. They sweep into neighborhoods in Atlanta, Phoenix, and Charlotte, buying up starter homes by the thousands. They outbid you because they don't care about the price, they care about the yield. They turn these homes into rentals. The result? You are competing against a multi-billion-dollar algorithm for a place to sleep. You can't win that auction, so you rent from them. You pay off their loan. You build their equity. This is the return of feudalism. In the Middle Ages, the serfs worked the land but didn't own it. The lord owned the land, and the serfs paid a portion of their harvest for the privilege of existing. Today, you work the job, but you don't own the capital. You pay the corporate lord a portion of your paycheck for the privilege of having a roof. The cheat code relies on you not understanding this. It relies on you thinking that house prices are up because supply is low. No. House prices are up because the currency is broken and the market is manipulated by players with infinite money. And while they strip mine the assets, they also strip mine the culture. The need for constant growth, the need to keep the Ponzi scheme going, requires constant consumption. This is why products are designed to break. Planned obsolescence. If they built a washing machine that lasted 50 years, like they used to, they couldn't sell you a new one every 5 years. The GDP would go down. The stock market would dip. So they fill the landfills with garbage to keep the numbers on the screen green. They have monetized your attention, your data, your anxiety. The media, owned by the same conglomerates, keeps you in a state of constant fear and division. If you are fighting your neighbor about politics, about race, about gender, you aren't looking up at the people emptying your pockets. Divide and conquer. It is the oldest trick in the book, and it is working perfectly. Let's talk about the pension trap. This is the gun to the head of the middle class. You might hate the banks. You might hate the pharmaceutical companies. You might hate the military-industrial complex. But guess what? Your 401k, your pension fund, your retirement savings, they are all invested in these companies. The system has forced you to become complicit in your own exploitation. If the government actually fixed the system, if they broke up the monopolies, stopped the printing, and let the bad banks fail, the stock market would crash. And your retirement would vanish. They have taken your future hostage. They say, don't touch the cheat code, or grandma loses her pension. This creates a population that is terrified of reform. We are addicted to the poison that is killing us. But the most insidious part of the cheat code is how it distorts reality itself. It changes our values. In a system where hard work is taxed and speculation is subsidized, people stop valuing work. We see the rise of the grind-set culture that isn't about building things, but about flipping things. Crypto scams, dropshipping, day trading. Everyone is trying to escape the labor market because the labor market is a losing game. We have a generation of young men and women who look at the future and see a wall. They see that the traditional path, go to school, get a job, buy a house, is a lie. The math doesn't work. You can do everything right and still live in your parents' basement. This despair is the fuel for the mental health crisis, the drug crisis, and the collapse of family formation. It is economic warfare disguised as social change. And now, we are approaching the end game. The debt is the detonator. The U.S. national debt is compounding at a rate that is mathematically impossible to sustain. We are adding $1 trillion of debt every few months. The interest payments on the debt are now higher than the entire defense budget. Think about that. The U.S. spends more just to pay the interest on its credit card than it spends on the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines combined. This is a death spiral. To pay the interest, they have to print more money. Printing more money causes inflation. Inflation raises interest rates. Higher interest rates make the debt more expensive, which means they have to print even more money. It is a loop. A doom loop. There is no way out mathematically. They have two choices. Stop printing, let the system crash, and face a Great Depression that makes the 1930s look like a picnic. Keep printing, hyperinflate the dollar, and destroy the currency entirely. History tells us they will choose option 2. Politicians always choose inflation. It is easier to print money than to tell voters they have to take a pay cut. They will try to keep the music playing until the very last second. They will introduce digital central bank currencies, CBDCs, to try and lock down the exits. They will try to control how you spend, where you spend, and if you can spend. That is the next level of the cheat code, total control. But here is the thing about reality. It always wins in the end. You can manipulate the markets, you can lie about the data, you can gaslight the population, but you cannot cheat math forever. The correction is coming. The pendulum is swinging back. When we analyze the mechanics of this approaching collapse, we have to look at the psychological breaking point. A system like this only works as long as the people believe in it. Money is a shared illusion. It works because I believe you will accept it, and you believe the grocer will accept it. But when people realize the game is rigged, when they realize the chips are worthless, the illusion evaporates instantly. This is what happened in Weimar Germany. This is what happened in Zimbabwe. This is what happened in Venezuela. And don't think, it can't happen here. That is normalcy bias. It is the most dangerous mindset you can have. Every empire thinks it is eternal until the barbarians are at the gates. Rome fell. The British Empire crumbled. The Soviet Union collapsed overnight. The American unipolar moment is ending. Let's look closely at the bond market. This is the boring stuff that nobody talks about on the news, but it is where the real bodies are buried. The U.S. Treasury bond is supposed to be the risk-free asset. It is the foundation of the entire global financial system. But recently, we have seen auctions where nobody wants to buy US debt. The vigilantes are returning. When the world stops buying US debt, the Fed must be the buyer of last resort. That means the Fed has to monetize the entire deficit. This is the definition of a banana republic. We are doing exactly what third world dictatorships do right before their currency collapses. We are just doing it with better suits and more complex spreadsheets. Let's pivot to the technological disruption. While the financial system is rotting, technology is accelerating. AI and automation are about to displace millions of jobs. In a healthy economy, this would be great. Robots do the work, things get cheaper. But in the cheat code economy, who owns the robots? The same corporations that own the politicians. The gains from AI will not be shared. They will be concentrated. We are looking at a future where labor, your ability to work, becomes less valuable, while capital, owning the machines, becomes everything. If you don't own assets, you are obsolete. The system isn't designed to support a useless class. This creates the tension for civil unrest. When people cannot eat, when they cannot find dignity in work, they burn things down. The elites know this. Why do you think billionaires are building bunkers in New Zealand? Why do you think Mark Zuckerberg is building a massive compound in Hawaii? Why are they buying farmland? They know the cheat code has an expiration date. They are cashing out. They are converting their digital fiat winnings into hard, physical assets before the music stops. They are preparing for the crash they engineered. Are you? This isn't about fear-mongering. This is about pattern recognition. If you see a tsunami coming, you don't stand on the beach and hope it misses you. You run for higher ground. So, what is the counter move? How do you play against a rigged house? First, you have to understand that the safe path is now the dangerous path. Keeping your money in a savings account earning 0.1% while real inflation is 15% is financial suicide. You are bleeding to death slowly. Following the old advice, go to school, get a steady job, is walking into a trap. You have to think like the elites. You have to align yourself with the cheat code or step outside of it. Alignment means owning assets. You need to own things that cannot be printed. Gold, silver, Bitcoin. Real estate, if you can afford it without drowning in debt. Businesses. Skills. Stepping outside means reducing your dependence on their system. Get out of debt. Debt is the chain they use to jerk you around. If you have no debt, you have freedom. If you have low expenses, you are harder to control. We also need to talk about the knowledge gap. The system relies on financial illiteracy. They don't teach you about money in school on purpose. They teach you how to be a worker bee, not how to be the beekeeper. They teach you the Pythagorean theorem, but they don't teach you how a mortgage amortization schedule works. They don't teach you what money is. By watching this video, you are already in the top 1% of informed citizens. But that is not enough. You need to weaponize this knowledge. You need to look at every transaction, every news headline, every political promise through the lens of the cheat code. When a politician says, "We are going to send billions to insert country," ask yourself, who gets that money? Which defense contractor? Which NGO? When the Fed says, "We are raising rates to fight inflation," ask yourself, who does this hurt? The small business relying on a loan, or the cash-rich monopoly that can buy its competitors for pennies on the dollar? Everything is a transfer of wealth. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's examine the cultural distraction mechanism again because it is vital. The culture war is the smokescreen for the class war. As long as the right is fighting the left, as long as the young are blaming the old, the looting continues. The biggest threat to the establishment is unity. If the working class of the right and the working class of the left realized they were being screwed by the same banks and the same lobbyists, the game would be over tomorrow. Occupy Wall Street terrified them. It was messy, but it was aimed at the right target, the financial elite. Notice how quickly after Occupy Wall Street, the media narrative shifted entirely to identity politics. That wasn't an accident. Corporate HR departments didn't become woke out of the goodness of their hearts. They did it because it is a cheap way to protect capital. It is easier to hire a diversity officer than to pay your workers a living wage. It is easier to put a rainbow flag on your logo than to stop poisoning the environment. It is corporate camouflage. The system is cynical to its core. It uses your morality against you. It uses your patriotism against you. It uses your compassion against you. We are now staring into the abyss of the Great Reset. You have heard the term. It's not just a conspiracy theory. It is the title of a book by the head of the World Economic Forum. The idea is to transition from the current broken system to a new system where ownership is redefined. You will own nothing, and you will be happy. That is the ultimate extension of the subscription economy. Why let you own a car when you can pay per mile? Why let you own software when you can pay a monthly fee? Why let you own a house when you can rent a pod? If you own nothing, you have no power. You are fully dependent on the provider. If you step out of line, they turn off your service. This is the battle for the future of humanity. It is a battle between sovereignty and serfdom. The American economic cheat code was just the beta test. The version 2.0 is global, digital, and inescapable. Unless we stop it, unless we build parallel systems. The cracks in the armor are showing. The internet, despite all the censorship, has allowed information to travel faster than they can control it. Videos like this one are dangerous to them. People discussing these ideas in Discord servers, on X, Twitter, on localized networks, this is the resistance. The rise of decentralized finance, despite its scams and volatility, represents a yearning for a system that doesn't require permission from a bank. The resurgence of local farming, of trade schools, of communities helping each other, these are antibodies fighting the virus. But we must be realistic about the timeline. These transitions are messy. The end of the petrodollar will not be a peaceful Tuesday. It will likely involve conflict, shortages, and chaos. The U.S. government will not give up its hegemony without a fight. When an animal is cornered, it is most dangerous. The U.S. empire is cornered by its own debt. We are likely to see financial repression. This means caps on how much money you can move, capital controls, higher taxes, seizure of assets. They might force pension funds to buy government debt. They might outlaw private gold ownership again, like they did in 1933. You need to be ready for the rules to change overnight. The cheat code allows them to rewrite the rulebook whenever they are losing. Let's break down the education scam one more time because it is the primary way they neutralize the youth. By loading a 22-year-old with debt, you remove their ability to take risks. A person with no debt can start a business, can quit a toxic job, can protest. A person with $500 a month in student loan payments must comply. They must take the corporate job. They must stay in line. The debt is a behavior modification tool. If you are young, your priority must be to avoid this trap. Do not buy the lie that a degree is a golden ticket. In the age of AI, a degree in marketing or communications is worthless. Learn to build. Learn to repair. Learn to sell. Learn to code, but even that is being automated. Learn how to navigate the physical world. The plumber will have a job when the marketing middle manager is replaced by a script. And for the older generation, those of you who think your 401k is safe, look at the bond market. Look at the currency debasement. You are saving in a melting ice cube. You need to diversify. You need to look at hard assets. And you need to talk to your children. Pass down this knowledge. The inheritance of wisdom is more valuable than the inheritance of dollars. The cheat code is also about the Cantillon effect of information. The insiders know the news before it happens. Senators trade stocks based on classified briefings. Nancy Pelosi's portfolio outperforms the greatest hedge fund managers in the world. Is she a genius stock picker? Or does she see the cards before they are dealt? This insider trading is blatant. It is in our faces. And nothing happens. Because the Department of Justice is part of the same club. It is a big club, and you ain't in it. George Carlin told us this years ago. We laughed, but we didn't mobilize. Now, the club is looting the building while it burns. We have to stop looking for a political savior. There is no white knight coming to Washington to fix this. The swamp is too deep. The tentacles are too wrapped around the pillars of power. The solution is not political. It is personal and communal. It is about withdrawing your consent from the system. Every dollar you spend at a megacorporation strengthens them. Every dollar you spend at a local business weakens the beast. Every dollar you keep in a big bank leverages their power. Every dollar you move to a credit union or into self-custody removes their ammo. Voting with your wallet is the only vote that counts in a rigged casino. We are witnessing the end of an era. The post-World War II order, the Bretton Woods system, the American century, it is all sunsetting. What comes next could be better, or it could be a technological tyranny. The outcome depends on who builds the new rails. If they build the CBDCs, we lose. If we build decentralized networks, we have a chance. The cheat code thrives in the dark. It thrives on complexity. They use jargon like quantitative easing and reverse repo market to make your eyes glaze over. They want you to think it's too complicated for you to understand. It's not. It's simple. They print. They steal. You pay. Don't let the complexity intimidate you. That is their defense mechanism. Strip away the acronyms, and it is just old-fashioned counterfeiting on a global scale. Let's bring this home. Let's look at the big-picture moral of this story. Why does this matter to your soul? Because a rigged game destroys the human spirit. When people feel that the game is fixed, they stop trying. They become cynical. They become depressed. They lose their agency. The most rebellious thing you can do in 2024 is to be optimistic and self-reliant. To say, I see your cheat code, and I'm going to win anyway. To build wealth despite the inflation. To raise a strong family despite the cultural rot. To speak the truth despite the censorship. The American economic cheat code is a formidable beast. It has armies, it has banks, it has the media. But it is built on a lie. And lies are fragile. They require constant maintenance. They require constant energy. The truth just is. The truth is that value comes from human energy and creativity, not from a printer. The truth is that a society built on theft cannot stand. The truth is that this house of cards is wobbling. When the correction comes, it will be painful. But it is necessary. It is the forest fire that clears out the dead wood so new growth can happen. The cheat code era has created a lot of dead wood, zombie companies, corrupt institutions, parasitic elites. The fire is coming for them. You just need to make sure you aren't standing next to them when it ignites. This is the greatest story of our lifetime. We are watching the transition of global power in real time. It is scary, yes. But it is also an opportunity. Chaos is a ladder. If you are informed, if you are prepared, you can position yourself to thrive in the new world that emerges from the ashes of the old one. You now have the lens. You see the matrix. When you watch the news tonight, you will see it differently. When you see the stock market hit a new high while homelessness explodes, you will know why. You are no longer asleep. The question is, what will you do with this awakening? Will you go back to sleep? Will you take the blue pill and believe what you want to believe? Or will you embrace the red pill, as bitter as it tastes, and start preparing for reality? The cheat code is exposed. The glitch is spreading. The game is changing. And remember, in a world of lies, the truth is the only currency that matters. We have only scratched the surface of the rabbit hole today. There are layers to this deception, from the Federal Reserve's secret origins to the coming war for the Arctic's resources, that we didn't even have time to touch. This battle for the future isn't just about money. It's about who owns the rights to your life. The system wants you hopeless. It wants you distracted. Do not give them that satisfaction. If this video sparked a fire in you, if it made you question the narrative you've been fed, then your journey is just beginning. We are going to continue dismantling the lies, piece by piece, in the next video. Click the video on your screen right now to dive deeper into the history they hid from you. Thank you for watching. Stay sharp. Stay skeptical. I'll see you in the next one.